Hello everyone, Ping here, and today we are continuing on with my second part of our custom zombie map making tutorial process. Okay, so once you've opened up your map in Radiant, well, if I can remind you, all you need to do is go to your map, right click, open map in Radiant. Radiant, by the way, is your level editor, what you would do to build your map, if you didn't already figure that out. So once you're in it, you'll be greeted with two views. Now, the two views would be your camera and this grid-like view. Now, it is a little bit confusing at first, but trust me, you'll get the hang of it and it will become second nature. It really is really adaptable to what you want, especially now that you can move the windows around. Like, you could not do that back in World at War, but now you can, which is a lot better. Okay, so to move in your camera view, you hold right click and you just look around like this. That's to look around horizontally, right? You hold control and move to move up and down, and you can just use you can just push your mouse forward and backward and just do that kind of thing. And if you hold not Alt, sorry, Shift and Control, you can look around like this. So that's pretty much the basics. It'll take a while to get used to that. I know what I did. It took a while for me to get used to this sort of setup, but once you get used to it, it's quite easy to manipulate it to see different views and angles that you want. Okay, so this view on your left is the 2D view. Now this is where you'll be doing a lot of your mapping, a lot of your modeling, and a lot of your detail, and all of the essential parts of a map will be done here. I prefer to do it on here, however, you can still do stuff on the actual 3D camera. However, it's, as you can see by the grids and stuff like that, it's a lot easier to work on this grid. So you can just use the same, hold right click, and you can just move around like this. You can zoom out with the scroll wheel like this, zoom back in. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the basic controls and how to manipulate the environment to shape the map that you want to create. So now you just move over to something, say this block over here. You hold shift and you click with your left click on your mouse button to select an object. Now you'll get this sort of arrow system here, which means you can manipulate the object in the 3D view, which is something that wasn't there in Radiant World at War, but it's quite a useful tool now. So for example, if you just click on, just left click normally as you would, and just drag up on any of the arrows, you drag in the X, Y, and Z positions. It's pretty good. Obviously, Control Z to undo, as you would in any other application. Okay, so you press Escape to deselect anything. Okay, so now you are able to, essentially create your map. Basically, it's that simple. Now, just talking you through what the different parts of this are. For example, these blocks or bricks or whatever you want to call them are called brushes. Now, brushes can be manipulated in any way, shape, or form. You can, as I did, move them up, left, right. On the 2D view, what you want to do is you can see everything. It won't be selected in red for you. It might be selected in a different color. I set it up differently. If you want to change it to what I have, you go into, I think it's settings. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, settings, preferences, color. And then you've got all the colors for different things. So for example, wireframe prefabs, mine's red. There should be one for different brushes and stuff like that. Yeah, so it should be fine. Okay, so basically on the 2D view, you're going to have to familiarize yourself with the numbers on your keyboard in order to manipulate the different grid sizes. Now, grid sizes are literally the blocks that make up your measurements and stuff like that. For example, if I were to put on a grid size of 8, you press the 8 key and makes all the grids bigger. So that means if you click and drag in the position that you want to move it, so for example, if I want to move this from here to here, that's just autosave, from here to here, you would just click and you drag, right? And because that's such a big grid, it'll move it in exactly this position, this distance, sorry. So you just move it back if you want. or Control Z, whatever. So for example, if I want a smaller grid, you'd press say 4, and you can see it all goes very grid-like, and you can just drag out from whatever. If you're making a map and for some reason the grid sizes are a bit too big, even if you put it down to 1, or if you use the bracket keys, not the regular round brackets, the square brackets or the curly brackets as you would say, you can even put that down lower. You can also use this to manually resize it. So how small is that, man? You can just press the other, each square bracket, like my left one, right one, keeps going up, and it keeps resizing it. And yeah, that's basically how to manipulate your grid. So yeah, or if that still isn't enough, you can hold Control Alt G and let it go, and then you can move it without a grid. You can move it without a grid. So if something is not going the way you want it to, you can force it to do it, basically. And yeah, and then if you want, I think the control is, but if I have it here, and for example, let's say I want it to snap to the grid again, you press Control Alt G again to do that as well. However, you'll notice that it doesn't go back to the grid, which is quite annoying. But the way to fix this is by pressing Control G, and it does it automatically for you. It's quite amazing. I never even knew that for a while there. Oh my god. So basically, yeah, that's about resizing and how to manipulate brushes and etc. etc. You know what I mean? So what you're gonna do now is on your 2D view, when you have it selected by right-clicking it or whatever, you want to press Shift Tab. No, wait, no, that's not Shift Tab, is that? Control Tab? Yeah, Control Tab, sorry. Control Tab flips it. As you can see up here, it says YZ, XY, XZ. So that's just your left, right, up, down, etc. views. So for example, up here, you can't manipulate certain aspects. You cannot manipulate this part of it, the Z coordinate. So if you change it to by pressing Control Tab, and now you can do that. You can't, however, manipulate it in this way because you can see there's no difference in the 2D view. But if you were to change it to this view, it does. So it's pretty nifty. If you do say so myself. Wow. Okay. So you just press once again Escape to deselect. Now I'm going to walk you through what all these little boxes mean. It's quite confusing at first, and even I was a bit confused with the new Black Ops 3 system, but trust me, you'll get the hang of it. Easy. So what this is if you press N to bring up the entity editor, that will give you this tab right here that will pop up. It might pop up as like an actual window, or it might just appear somewhere. I don't know. I can't remember how it originally starts off as, but it will basically tell you what this thing is. It will tell you what stuff it's assigned to, the angles, the origin, the positions of it. It just gives you all the information you need to know about the object. So this one says info player start. Now what that means is that basically gathers the information as far as I'm concerned, as far as you're concerned as well. Just gathers information in order to spawn the player. This right here is that. Looks confusing at first, but that is a script struct. I'll come into detail a bit more about those later. Trust me, you'll get a hang of it. These individual things are spawn points for the player. Now, for example, the reason why there's 4 is because for Tank Dempsey, Nikolai, Richtofen, and Takeo, because in Black Ops 3 the system is randomized where you can get a random character, there has to be a spawn location for each character, because that's why you notice in some maps they don't spawn exactly the same position as other players, because otherwise all players would be in one position and it would mess up the whole thing. So good to keep them in. These are respawn points. These can be used for, I think they can be used for teleporters. I'm not exactly sure, don't hold me to that, but I know they can be used as respawn points. I don't know why we just don't just use the originals. Oh well, that's the way Treyarch likes them, I guess. Um, yeah, that's everything you need to know here is your player stuff. Basically, your player stuff. Everything to do here is player. If as long as you have that in your map, you'll be able to spawn in and play your map. Really good. So just deselect that. What I'm going to move on to is these things. This floating little orb. As you can see, it's got a lot of reflections in it. That's why it's called a reflection probe. These are essential. A lot of map tutorial makers don't touch on this enough as they should, but I believe that a very important part. Reflection probes are reflections. If you don't have them in your map, it will cause bugs and errors and glitches and stuff like that with the lighting, and it will not look good. I'm just guaranteeing you that now. It will not look good in any way. So yeah, you've always got to have at least one reflection probe in your map. And now, if you don't have a reflection probe in your map, you might be wondering, how do I get it? Well, I'll show you exactly how to get it. What you need to do is, oh, fucking Facebook. What you need to do is go onto your 2D view, probably best, and you go and press the B button, right? The B button, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's, yes, build, no, not build, sorry, unsorted, and you should see something that says reflection underscore probe. And all you do is you just click and drag into a 2D view or a 3D view, but I prefer a 2D view. Just drag it in, and there you go. Usually you'd use reflection probes in order to, just make an area look really nice. It gives a lot more reflection to that area and makes it really look nice. So yeah, basically, if you can have as many as you want in your map. However, that means you're going to have to build more lighting, which means that the lighting and the compiling process might take a bit longer. So if you have a really bad PC, I would suggest one restriction on the reflection probes, just one reflection probe in the map, because otherwise it might take days. But yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going to cover is these little blocks here. Now, unassuming, but these are quite important. And it's important that they're pointing in a specific direction. You can see the arrow leading from each of them. Can you see that? Basically, what these are your endgame cameras. For example, when you die, after being destroyed by a zombie after you switch out your ray gun for a cult, you'd go here and it moves across and it just gives you a view of the map while you're in game over. Basically, that's all it does. So once it's gone through this phase, it will stop and the game will go to black, and then it will, play the cutscene and you go back to the main menu. That sort of thing happens. So basically, the arrow here just indicates the direction the camera will take. So it'll go from here up to here, not from here down to here. It will not work that way. There's other option. If you press the thing and you press N on it, you can see it says intermission and all your other stuff like that, as you would with these as well. The last type of script, struct, or any script related things that you need to know about is these. These and these are called spawners. Now, in its name, spawns stuff. Spawns stuff. For example, this spawner right here is a zombie spawner, as you can see up here. Start zone spawners, riser location. That means that risers will come from this location. Don't need to worry about this stuff right now. I'll go into that in another tutorial. But once you know that these are spawner locations, that's all you need to know. Same with these. These are dog locations where your dogs would spawn. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be halfway in the ground, but I guess it should be. It must have changed since World at War. I don't know. I'm old. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, one more thing. before I bore you to death. Um, this thing right here is the control part of the zombie spawners, if you know what I mean by that. This is what they use to define your zombies, if that makes any sense to you. Basically, this is saying that these spawners are linked to this thing, which means that this can be used within the scripts to spawn the zombies. You know, that's their spawn point. That's a spawner. Technically, that is a spawner, but you know what I mean. That's you need to have that, and it's just you need to have it there. And I'll go into more detail in the future where I'll talk about how to make multiple doors and zones and stuff like that. Big amount of stuff to cover, but trust me, it will be worth it. So yeah, that's all the basic controls and everything I wanted to touch on. I mean, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about this tutorial, if you have any feedback, anything you want to say to me, just leave it in the comments below and it'll be fine. Don't worry, I'll get round to your comment and I'll sure to answer your question. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe in order to support me and my videos. It really does help out quite a lot, you know. So yeah, thanks very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.